TikTok shop, then it's just the doors open up, which is just
Right.
crazy right now.
We're
It's
literally
still
at
the
the
start. And
beginning, you know. It's like drop
yeah,
shipping in 2016, 2017.
What are some niches you're seeing that are performing well that, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't have thought would perform well? In the second stage, they're generating 10 to 50,000 a month.
I would say if you can be aggressive from the beginning, go for it, because then again, the momentum will continue to grow. And
What advice would you give to TikTok shop sellers that are either just getting started? Ashley, nice to finally have you over here. Long time coming.
pleasure.
And
It is.
yeah, looking forward to see what you can drop for the followers and the viewers. Want to
Yeah,
start by
super
giving off a
excited.
little backstory about you?
Yeah, so my name's Ashley. So I run a TikTok growth agency called Social Tail, which entails basically we run everything in the TikTok ecosystem, from obviously TikTok shop, TikTok ads, TikTok affiliates, TikTok lives, and TikTok organic. So we basically do everything for brands from that side of things. So we've been doing I've been doing TikTok now for about 4.5 years, but it kind of coincided with doing Meta. My background's always been like paid social, so did Meta, started doing UGC, and I was always like interested in obviously how was happening with TikTok. And then from then onwards, kind of just got a little bit more involved into it. And then the icing on the cake was when TikTok Shop dropped, which is literally a year old this month, which is crazy. And from then onwards, it's kind of gone from obviously having to educate brands, obviously need to get on TikTok. For now, brands obviously like, how do I get on TikTok, which is great. So yeah, that's a little bit about how I kind of got to this place now.
Yeah, it's funny. Before you had to educate and tell people what TikTok was about, and now you have people running towards you. You do TikTok shop, and
Yeah.
like it's a
crazy, right?
much easier close these days, I could assume.
Oh yeah. It's just a conversation these days. Literally,
Yeah.
everything's like
It's
sell
like,
anything,
how do we get
which is
started?
great.
How do we get started instead of like
Yeah, that's it.
convincing?
It's
There's
like,
no
is that how sales is these days? Like,
No, that's amazing. So you originally got into the TikTok space from your media buying background with Meta, and then naturally, onto the next platform, basically.
Exactly.
Currently, TikTok Shop is only in the UK and the US. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's in like Indonesia and China, but yeah, but the
Okay.
main like Western side, yeah, UK and US at the moment.
Right. Is there any news on when the next, when are they going to be opening that up to the rest of the world?
So obviously Canada and Europe were the ones in the kind of talks in the works, but I think they want to then double down on US and UK, because obviously it's continuing to grow and obviously scale quite dramatically. And I think the honest truth is they just haven't got the resource at the moment to be able to open up in obviously different countries, and obviously because again all the logistics behind it, the staffing needed for it, all the different categories, there's so much that goes into it. So I think they kind of want to make sure they get it right from obviously a US and UK standpoint, and then obviously then take the blueprint from both them kind of countries, then move it into the other ones. So I think that's what it's going to be like. There were some people saying Canada will be next, but I think it won't be till probably next year personally.
Yeah. No,
and hence the Amazon TikTok partnership, right? Like trying to speed up the process of being able to scale, which is crazy.
Exactly that, right? Which has come from nowhere, but which makes perfect sense. Obviously, kind of connecting that demand and that obviously that kind of discovery together, which is perfect. So yeah, it's a collaboration kind of made in heaven, as I say.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
Where do you see like that going? Like from your perspective, where do you see this partnership taking things with TikTok?
Yeah, I think it's really useful, because I feel like, as I mentioned, like with Amazon, it's always a platform that's kind of for demand. You go on Amazon to type and search something that you already kind of want, I always kind of think. Whereas obviously on TikTok, you find, because how the algorithm works, you get in products that you might not know you want or not interested in or never heard of showing up on your feed. So the fact that's kind of coming together, and obviously now when you're kind of search something, that Amazon results will come through on that. I think that makes perfect sense, because obviously Amazon kind of is, which I think smart from Amazon, they're kind of not saying, okay, we want to stay away from this and kind of like, we're going to continue to do our thing. They've seen what's obviously up and coming and seen what the emerging trends are, and think, okay, rather than trying to build this or do this ourselves, let's team up and obviously kind of get the best of both, really. So yeah, I think it makes sense from that perspective. And I feel like it would also have that halo effect as well, in terms of like, if you see something that's Amazon related on TikTok, you might still go to Amazon, and obviously vice versa. So I think there's definitely a good collaboration that I think is just going to continue to grow going into like especially into Q4 for sure.
For sure. And I feel like Amazon, it makes sense from Amazon's perspective, and it's also very unlike them, because they're very like, we're doing our own things. Like, we're not taking any feedback from anyone. We're not partnering up with anyone. But I feel like they couldn't ignore this one, because they kind of tried on the Amazon app to do a little social commerce where you can like swipe up, kind of like TikTok, and see
Yeah.
products, but that
Who's
did
doing
not,
that, right? Like who's
yeah,
going on
that did
Amazon
not
to
take
look
off
at
at all.
content?
Like
It's
you're,
different, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
you're going on
the
Amazon
mentality,
to
right?
purchase something. You're not going on,
Yeah.
for as a social
To
platform.
scroll through, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't
completely
make any
different.
sense.
And I think the good thing as well for that, it gives that social proof to TikTok and TikTok Shop that it's not a scam, it's not just for kids anymore. Do you know what I mean? It kind of like solidifies, okay, work for Amazon. So obviously TikTok does mean business. They're here for the long run as well, kind of thing, which again, I feel like people are like, oh, TikTok's a fad, it's going to phase out, it's going to get banned here and there, whereas literally it doesn't seem like any of that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I also, so it makes sense from Amazon standpoint, but from a TikTok standpoint, I see it as, isn't it like taking sales from TikTok Shop? Like, is in a sense, like, since you'd be able to purchase it directly on Amazon through Amazon if you connect your Amazon account, doesn't that hinder the TikTok Shop's growth? Because I heard something about like, the ads team versus the shop team, and like, the ads team clearly won because they're focusing on that. Does that, what does that tell you? Since TikTok Shop has been doing so well, from what I see from this partnership, the fact that you can purchase on Amazon is kind of taking away from TikTok Shop. Or am I misunderstanding something?
No, yeah, I see where you're coming from. And I think on the flip side, I also think it brings a new audience to TikTok as well, if that kind of makes sense. People that might not be on the platform, but just might be directly shopping on Amazon, but now they're kind of hearing the news that, oh, I can spend via kind of Amazon on TikTok. It brings maybe that more mature, older kind of audience who's obviously
I
got
never
money
thought
to
of that.
spend as well on the platform. They kind of look at it that way as well. So that's kind of the way I think TikTok are maybe seeing it from that side, because they know with or without Amazon, they're still going to grow. Do you know what I mean? They can keep going, but bringing Amazon into the mix, yes, they might have to give away a little bit cut of that, but they're going to bring in a new influx of customers for TikTok to grow, and obviously it's going to help grow shop ad spend. It's going to grow the light. Do you know what I mean? It's going to bring that whole segment, because they
That whole
know that
ecosystem,
once a user's on the platform, they can keep them on the platform by the algorithm. So yeah.
No, honestly, that's a great point. I didn't think about it that way, because right now, the TikTok demographic, like, you can't sell just any, like those Karen products, like you can't really sell on TikTok because it's like catered, TikTok, you're catering to an audience. But that's so true. If you're bringing that more mature audience from Amazon on TikTok and vice versa, it's definitely, a match made in heaven. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
it's a very good point.
Yeah, it's a win-win for sure.
And what's cool, I find, is that like dude, our grandparents are on TikTok right now. Like that's crazy. Our parents are on TikTok. Like,
weird, right?
It's no longer a Gen Z thing anymore. Which is crazy.
Yeah,
like my 80-year-old grandmother is on TikTok. Like she's also she's also a freak. Like she's great with her iPad and YouTube's recipes. Like she's not your typical 80-year-old grandmother, but still the fact that she's on there shows that trend. People are getting tired of Facebook. Like they're looking for a different platform to get on.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So yeah, I mean, you want to kind of walk me through the evolution of like your journey, like what were you good at, what were you bad at, and like how did that push you into like what you're doing today?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it always was like I was always coming from, like, say, that social commerce kind of background in a sense, because I always obviously was trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be the next step. And at this point, I was working at a big agency, working on like big house like Adidas, Reebok, stuff like that. And at that point, was trying to get them onto TikTok. At that point, that was just from like an organic standpoint. I was thinking, okay, if this is the platform where a big brand like Adidas, Reebok are trying to get onto, what is next in the evolution? Obviously, if they're seeing this already, there's obviously going to be development for other brands kind of get involved. And like I mentioned to you earlier, I always got to the point where I was always having to educate these brands, saying, oh, if you post like organic stuff, you might not see an ROI straight away, but obviously you're going to get that brand awareness. You're going to get more people starting to discover about your brand. But what a lot of brands were figuring out was like, okay, well, I can spend all this money on whether it's hiring an agency or freelancing a creator, but if I'm not seeing an ROI, does it kind of make sense? And it's always kind of hard to sell it as that unless you were like a big brand with budget. So TikTok Shop has definitely kind of closed that gap, which has been great, because now you can say to brands, okay, look, you can work with affiliates, you only pay them once they make a sale. You can obviously run ads, especially now with GMV Max, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, that can be more productive and at the same time get better results in terms of the platform. And at the same time, you can see brands, whether it's your competitors or other brands, who are making really good sales right now on the platform, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. So from my perspective, I was always trying to, okay, figure out how can we get brands onto the platform who actually want to, take it serious? Because again, I think there's still this kind of influx of brands who are like, oh, well, TikTok shop, I've heard about it, my friend said about it, let me try it, but they kind of don't do it properly. But it's kind of saying, okay, how can we get these brands on the platform with a solid strategy and get them from A to Z in as obviously as quick time as possible, which has been kind of it's been a journey and a roller coaster, don't get me wrong, but and again, every day is a learning experience because the platform is forever changing, and that's the great thing about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's also why I feel like it's important for brands to work with agencies, because
Yeah.
there's also like a negative connotation with agencies in general, and a lot of brands tend to want to keep everything in house. But your TikTok shop part, I mean, you're in and out of the weeds. You know what's going on with TikTok, so I mean, it's more advantageous to work with someone like you. The brand doesn't have, it's hands off. They don't have to worry about a new update or something coming through. But yeah, as you said, everything's always changing, and with this partnership, things overnight just change. So
Yeah.
no, it's
Come from nowhere. And that's the thing, that don't get me wrong, you can definitely do it in-house, but you're going to find it a lot harder to do, and it's going to take a lot longer because again, there's so many nuances, and at the same time, you can't just bring one person in to try and do it as like a freelance job. I mean, it doesn't work that way because there's so many parts, like your affiliates, you need a media buyer to run the ad side of stuff, you need organic side to be working, you want to start doing live. I mean, there's so many elements that one person cannot do on their own. So again, you can try to do it, but it's just going to be a slower burn to kind of get it right, and obviously figuring it out at the same time, which is always going to be tough.
Trial and error process as well.
I mean, I think it's great to have one person like internally to kind of go back and forth with an agency and coordinate with the brand's alignment with everything. But like you said, one person can be a media buyer and posting organic content and doing all that stuff.
So
yeah, having that middle person is definitely good for, like, say, all the brands we work with. There's always kind of that go-to person who's kind of the coordinator for TikTok, because again, it's not just like a social media manager, because TikTok's completely different, like your Instagram, stuff like that. So that one person who focuses more on the TikTok side definitely helps from a brand perspective for sure.
So I know that TikTok is limiting new brands that are joining the platform on Shop for outreach to affiliates. Is there anything that you would recommend to like a new brand starting on TikTok Shop that has that 500 daily limit, to kind of bypass that, or other tactics for outreach off platform maybe?
Yeah, definitely. Funny enough, actually, just I put a post on LinkedIn about this, I think yesterday, actually saying about this. So the kind of way to get around it, there's a few options. So I always say, depending obviously what the brand is, how big they are, this kind of first part, you kind of want to look into your, I kind of call it your current roster in terms of, okay, have you been working with influencers on other platforms like Instagram, or like, say, if you've done anything on Amazon, like worked with like creators, and they're going to be, or even not just necessarily creators, but could be like people who have been posted, if you kind of look for the hashtags under your kind of brand, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, and kind of maybe use them first to kind of be your first batch of like creators, because again, these people already kind of know your brand, they already know the products, stuff like that. So again, it's just kind of speak with them and saying, okay, do you want to work with us? We're now launching on TikTok Shop. We want to give you a high percentage, and we obviously feel like you'll be like the core kind of VIP kind of creator. So that's kind of the first element of it. And then because you've got like your certain kind of, like, say, your threshold, you want to kind of make sure you're getting some sales in to begin with, because again, I always say affiliates follow affiliates. So again, if your product or your brand has not got any sales traction on TikTok Shop to begin with, it's going to be harder, because again, if you're a supplement brand selling, let's say, ashwagandha, and you've just got 0 sales compared to your competitor who's got 10,000 sales already, affiliates are going to obviously promote that over yours. So again, you need to start getting them sales numbers, which I always say, if a brand already got content, or when they start to run ads, that's going to be the quickest way to at least get some traction on the platform, because anytime you send a request through on TikTok Shop, it will show how many sales you've done. So if it's a big 0, that creator is going to just ignore you if it even gets in their inbox for starters. So that's the first part of it. And then the second part, which I think is the element we kind of do now, we kind of build out that, we kind of call it the Dream 100 kind of like list, in terms of like, okay, if we could work with these creators, they would move the needle for us. So again, what we do is we go on Fastmoz, which is basically like a platform where you can obviously look at data on like TikTok Shop and everything like that. And we basically, for each brand, we basically pull 100 creators who we think, okay, if we work with these, they're going to take the brand from 0 to 100 like very quickly. And don't get me wrong, not all these creators are going to respond. They might not work with you, but if you can get this list, You can pull the data from Fastmods, you can get their Instagram, you can get their email. And what you want to do, you want to send them a personalized message, not a blast, not like with a bot. You want to make it specific to them. So tell them what's in it for them, compliment them in terms of like their previous content or something they've done with, and hope to get a response from them. Because again, if these creators are doing like 100K GMV and they can obviously work with you on a long-term basis, they'll kind of make most sales anyway, rather than have to do the massive outreach to 500, 1,000 creators. So they're the first two parts. And then once you've kind of done that, you still want to max out your 50 kind of outreaches per week. But at the same time, if you are running ads, hopefully you get into that 1,500 sale marks, which means obviously you'll then open up. But if not, target collabs works really well. So again, obviously just get your list in terms of, again, not necessarily competitive brands, but brands that complement your brand. And again, literally just scrape all the users on that and send target collabs out. Because again, if you use bots, like we use bot called Reach app. If you use an app like a bot like that, you can literally just send out messages per day, and there's no restriction with target collab. It's only on open collab at the moment. So that may change, who knows? But again, that's kind of the strategy that we recommend to anyone, and we do with a brand starting from scratch and trying to get the affiliate pool in, build that network up, and then kind of go from, again, 0 to 100.
And for I think, I'm not sure if you posted this or not, which if you guys who are watching this aren't following Ashley on LinkedIn, I don't know what you're doing, but I think you had posted something along the lines of, brands with bigger budgets kind of coming up with like a fun game where, I don't know, if you post X amount of content or bring in X amount of dollars in. One of them I saw was like a trip to somewhere, an all-inclusive, or some people give away cash prizes. So maybe walk me through a bit of that and like how you would kind of build like a game program like that.
Yeah, definitely. So gamify it, and obviously the brand that's done it recently is Golly. So they obviously sell the apple cider vinegar, I think gummy version, ashwagandha version as well. So they've just done it, and they've literally, like, I think they're now in the top 10 on TikTok Shop. They've only been live for literally 30 days. And I think some of the prize they're doing are like a BMW, a Tesla, like a trip to Miami, a Rolex. They've gone big for it. And the funny thing is, this is nothing new. Like I've been doing like affiliate marketing, quote unquote, like years back. And again, when anyone was launching something, whether it was like a digital marketing product or something like that, they always had like a competition in terms of, okay, if you're on the top 10, you win a trip, this and that. Golly have just obviously kind of taken that and moved into TikTok Shop format, and it's worked really well for them. So again, I feel like if you can incentivize, it works really well. We just started to roll it out to some of the brands as well. Again, nothing like dramatic like a Tesla or anything like that, but again, just bonuses, cash incentives, Amazon vouchers, a MacBook, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Because again, the reason why this works well is because if you don't do this, what happens with the creators, they'll basically post once. If it doesn't hit, they're kind of done. But if you can incentivize them, okay, you're going to win some extra, they'll post 5 times, 10 times, they'll start to get more sales. So again, if you say, okay, if you get to 100K GMV in sales for us, we give you a MacBook. You still made money, do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. Right, so again, that's kind of the way it's going at the moment, to kind of get creators on board and kind of get them to stick with you for at least a month anyway, to kind of do a competition. And again, you can maybe extend that or do a competition every month and kind of keep going from then onwards. So yeah, it's smart from Golly. They kind of like done it at scale, because again, like what they've kind of offered. And again, I feel like if you look what the creators of Golly done, like, I think they've done like $1 million already on TikTok Shop. So yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it's a great way to spin that social snowball and to get things going fast right off the rip.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Now in terms of like,
right?
In terms of like outreach messaging, I know you had mentioned it being more personalized. Is there anything you try to include to kind of get them to open and want to answer and want to work with you?
Yeah, again, the big creators, like if you get a response, you tick the box straight away, because again, we speak to like and work with some of the big affiliates on the platform, and they get like at least 200 messages per day at the moment. So they're not even getting through to some of the messages. So if you can, you want to make it as enticing as possible. So again, I always, in the actual message, I'd always say, okay, what's in it for them, basically. They're not too bothered in terms of the brand and all that kind of stuff. Yes, they want to know to a degree, but they want to know what's in it for them. So again, saying obviously you like their content, offering obviously high commission, which is also good, and telling them like in terms of, again, why your brand is at least worth pushing. So again, it's not pushing the brand on them, but saying maybe, okay, we've got no reviews in here, but obviously if you look on our website, we've got 10,000 reviews, we've got 10,000, do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So again, they kind of know straight away that you are a brand that's actually legit, and obviously just trying to push on the platform. Because again, if you treat these affiliates like humans, because a lot of people don't, they treat them as a number, they will obviously want to jump on board and try to work with you. So again, doing that works well. At the same time as well, if you've got the budget, if you can incentivize them, say whether it's maybe like $50, $100 to maybe post for that initial post, again, do that, because again, it might help just to kind of get them to at least post for you. And then again, that content will start to come, that momentum will start to build, and it'll go to a point from obviously you doing the outreach to obviously affiliates wanting to obviously work with you. So again, it kind of flips on its head quite quickly. And again, you don't actually do the outreach because again, everyone wants to kind of want to work with you for that point. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, those are great tips, honestly. Solid.
I liked what you mentioned before, because I was under the impression that like the first step on TikTok Shop is to reach out to affiliates and get them to start posting, and then running ads after with like winning creatives. But they're not answering you if you have 0 sales. So you would start to actually run ads a little bit to kind of drive some traffic, to gain some sales, and then go the outreach route.
100%. Yeah, it's changed so much. And again, that's why like every month's been different. Like back in Q4 and obviously the start of 2024, you could literally outreach, you'd get responses, and again, you'd get people wanting to promote you. But now these affiliates are getting more picky in terms of who they want to work with. And at the same time, there's so many brands on TikTok Shop now as well, it's kind of closed the gap. Hence why obviously TikTok have obviously kind of implemented again the restrictions in terms of the messaging kind of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a fight to get into the inbox of the creators. So that's why I would say to any brand, if you've got people you've worked with before, work with them first, start to get some traction. And then if you can find a great creator, treat them like a VIP, send them gift bags of like your products, treat them so you know that if you launch another product or if you drop something else, they're ready to go for you, and literally they are your kind of go-to when it comes to actually posting on the platform.
That's a good way to like also like again really blow up your social snowball by keeping that core like community of affiliates, you know.
Yeah, that's a whole other story, that community part of it as well, because like again for the brands, what we do now is we start to create that community for them. So whether it's like we start doing like a WhatsApp community, so again obviously we get all the creators in there, so again it's easy to kind of hold them. So again, whether you want to do announcements or you've got a flash sale coming along, so again they're prepared for that, rather than you have to keep finding obviously other creators as well and kind of trying to mesh them all individually, having them all in one place. So I'd recommend again, if you can get them in a Discord, a WhatsApp group, a Telegram. Again, don't get me wrong, not all these creators will join, because again, some of them don't know how to get a Spark code, let alone how to download Telegram or Discord. Just don't get me wrong. So, but if you can get some into there, again, it's a numbers game. You probably only get 5 to 10% of your creators who are going to be willing to kind of work hard with you long term, and they're going to probably make the most sales anyway. So they're the ones you kind of want to treat. You're always going to have that tier of like your tier A, who are going to be like your ride and die, who are going to get sales, and you're going to have a big pool that are going to probably maybe bring in 1-2 sales here. But again, it all adds up, right?
Right.
I like the WhatsApp thing because, like you mentioned, Discord. I see everyone create a Discord server, communities, but like, you know, unless you're into crypto or into other stuff, like Discord's not the most user friendly for, you know, maybe some influencers or creators who are just starting out, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to know your audience as well. Like even maybe like a Facebook group might work for some. Again, if you're depending on what your audience is, work with them again, and you can ask them again, like say, okay, when you got them, like message them, like how would you want to be communicated with? Because again, some are like, always beat some of that, oh, I don't want to give my number because I don't want to be messaged, stuff like that. So maybe just email them. So again, everyone's going to be different, and you can't always cater to everyone, as you can imagine.
Right, for sure. Right. In terms of niches, what are you seeing other than your typical supplement brand or some cosmetic brand? What are some niches you're seeing that are performing well that, you know, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't have thought would perform well?
Yeah, if you'd asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said different. I'd said supplements and obviously personal beauty stuff like that. But even the other day, there's like a dressing drawer that's got like a 9 dressing drawer. They've done like, I think I've been like 2 million on the platform. Like again, people are literally just jumping on lives and just like talking about a drawer, a dressing drawer, literally just pointing at it, saying it's got 9 drawers and not even like sure.
And it's just like a regular looking dressing drawer.
Wooden dressing drawer. It's got 2 big drawers and the rest are small. Literally that. Wow. So honestly, anything can sell on the platform. You just got to have good creators who know how to sell and at the same time push it. It's wild right now. That's why I say to anyone, don't think too much about the logistics of my product's not going to sell, it's too expensive, it's this, it's that. If you get the strategy right and you test it, it will work on the platform right now.
And in terms of budget, like obviously there's the above and beyond goalie routes, you know, Rolexes and Teslas, but you know, maybe on the like lower end, what's kind of a budget a brand could expect to kind of have to get the ball rolling with, you know, paid collaborators, affiliates, getting a shop set up and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it can all depend. I always say like the more aggressive you are, the quicker you're going to scale and obviously get results. That's just obviously the same with anything you imagine. But if you wanted to, you could obviously, to get a store set up, you can obviously do that for free. The main thing obviously is going to be sending your samples out. So obviously figuring out what your COGS look like from that side of things, and obviously how many samples can you afford to sell out. So that's one part of it. And then again, if you are going to run ads, I would at least say set yourself a budget of like at least $100 a day to kind of get some traction, start to get some sales in. Because again, anything less than that, again, it's just going to take longer to start to get data and start to get sales, as you can imagine. So, and if you, like I say, if you can get budget aside to pay these creators, whether it's like say an incentive, like say $50-$100 up front, or again, giving them like a bonus if they start to post for you, having that little kitty there will help as well. But again, I've seen brands that have done nothing at the start and obviously kind of just grown. But again, I think it's now getting to a point where the platform is becoming a pay-to-play kind of platform that you need to pay to grow on the platform. But then once you do that, there comes a point where you can start to then scale back, because again, you don't need to do the outreach, because again, creators come to you, or and at the same time, your ads are more cost-effective, your ROI is through the roof. So again, you can literally put 20K a day and you know you're going to get a 2x, 3x back on that. So again, it kind of is just, I would say, if you can be aggressive from the beginning, go for it, because then again, the momentum will continue to grow. And again, the great thing is with TikTok Shop, they do so many promotions, they do so many campaigns that again, if you can piggyback off these, it just continues to snowball like month on month for sure.
Right. I feel like we're almost in like a glitch era of TikTok where like
you're gonna see I say it's a cheat code right now.
Yeah. Like X amount of dollars put in, like you just said, you know already you're gonna get a 2x, 3x, 4x rise, whatever it is, you know, that whatever X amount of dollars you put in, which is crazy.
And that's the thing, because like I say, we work with big brands, like some of our brands are like eight-figure brands. They're like, okay, how much budget can we actually really put into the ads? Can we spend like 20K a day on ads? Because they know now it's like, okay, we need to kind of jump on this, do it right. Because if we do it right, it literally can change a brand overnight in terms of whether it's getting that halo effect, if it's getting to more retail stores, if it's getting press, it just kind of can blow you up that big right now. So it's a no-brainer.
Insane.
Regarding like logistics right now, so the fulfillment side of things, from what I understand, you can, you know, ship them out of your regular warehouse, or you can send them into TikTok Shop and they can take care of the fulfillment for you, kind of like Amazon. What are most brands doing at the moment right now?
So at the moment, a lot of brands are still doing with their current 3PL because it's obviously just easier. But obviously, recently TikTok Shop have said, okay, if you do that, you got to fulfill within 2 business days. Or if not, you basically start to get violation points again, obviously not sending out. So I think they are trying to get more brands to obviously ship their stock to them so they can fulfill it. Because again, they're giving like 90 days free, hold the product, stuff like that. They're giving lower fees for the TikTok Shop as well. So they're trying to get as much brands into their fulfillment, which I think going into next year, 2025, I think could definitely be the case. But at the moment, there are still some brands that are doing it. But at the same time, a lot of brands are slowly starting to say, okay, is it going to be worth it? Because again, it's not a quick process, you can imagine, but I feel like, talk to me this time next year, I feel like majority of the brands will have stock sitting in TikTok Shop fulfillments for sure.
Well, that's good to know. What are some like costly mistakes that you've seen some brands do on TikTok?
Oh, good question that is. I'd say costly mistakes in terms of like some brands are scared to try stuff. I'd say that's probably more of a costly mistake the other way around, in terms of like, I speak to some brands, I'm like, okay, if you try doing TikTok Lives, for example, and like, oh no, we're scared to do that, we don't want to. And again, it's kind of that cost to not try is basically probably losing brands money, if that kind of makes sense. So at the moment, I just say to brands, look, just be open and try stuff, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not the end of the world, because there's no one size fits all playbook for anyone right now. Do you know what I mean? We work with multiple brands and everything's completely different for all of them. So it's just all about trying and testing stuff from that. So I would say one thing as well, some brands obviously will maybe just send out samples to everybody and hope for the best, kind of like a spray and pray approach, which doesn't really work too much, because again, you want to be able to get creators who you know are going to be able to create good content. You want to brief for them, you want to work with them. And at the same time, if they get the product, obviously they need to post, but some creators might not post as well. So again, you're kind of sending out product for nothing to get back from that as well. So I'll say that's definitely one part of that. And again, I'd say probably another costly thing is, again, brands are not running ads. They just think, oh, okay, we can do it all organically. It's the mindset that's kind of a little bit behind, if that makes sense. Thinking, oh, okay, we can get a post to go viral and we're going to like skyrocket to 100, 200K kind of thing, which is not the case anymore. So again, I feel like people just kind of being too short-minded about the platform is probably the biggest mistake right now, for sure.
That's a very valid point, because like you just said, it doesn't, well, of course it costs to try the outreach and everything, but you're losing if you're not trying. So you just mentioned live shopping. Is that one of the main, like, most effective channels on TikTok right now, would you say?
It's definitely getting there more. And again, the brands that are cracking the code are the ones that are getting a lot of scale from it. Because obviously from China's perspective, live is pretty much the majority of where the sales come from. So obviously that's kind of shifted to the US and slowly shifting to the UK now. And again, whether it's lives from the actual affiliates doing it, they can make crazy money. Again, like I mentioned about that 9 drawer thing, I think a person on there was on that live for like 8 hours and literally did like 70K in GMV on there, just from that kind of thing. So there's definitely that option there from it. But at the same time, brands who now are getting actual hosting, getting coordinators in and actually building out their whole space to do lives and going live 3-5 times a week, they're the ones that are cracking the code right now. And again, there's no full blueprint to it. It's just kind of seeing what works and kind of going for it. And again, it's kind of working for a lot of brands right now, for sure.
Wow, that's really amazing. So when you do outreach, let's say for regular affiliates, for them to start posting for you, is it kind of the same process for the live streaming, like just same outreach, but the offers for live streaming instead of getting them to post?
So it's a little bit different, because again, some creators who can post obviously on their feed cannot necessarily post live and vice versa. It's two different skill sets for sure. So again, it's kind of, the outreach will be generic, but then obviously some creators will obviously go live and some will obviously then do their normal post on their feed kind of thing. And then with that, again, we will try and obviously still do outreach to everyone, but then we'll kind of look at the top live creators and do like a specific like outreach for them, because we know if they can obviously do lives, then obviously they're going to be perfect to kind of then have a more specific message about lives in terms of from that route as well.
So you're using like fast Gallo and Callow data to kind of see, okay, XYZ creators doing well for these lives. Let's create like a targeted or more targeted campaign or outreach method for them.
Exactly. Yeah, I live in fast mods basically. Like it's always open, trying to look at everything, trying to find trends, stuff like that. It's crazy. You can't imagine like crypto when you kind of try to look when Bitcoin going up and down kind of thing. It's literally like that.
That's so funny. So another question in regards to the live creators, when they post a live, it is broadcasted to their audience, or does TikTok push it to, other audiences as well?
Yeah, pushes everyone. So whether it's an organic post or a live, it's all based on algorithm. So again, if it starts to pick up traction and they start to get more people in, and obviously people are staying, then it's all based on watch time. So again, if TikTok thinks, okay, this is a good live, and obviously people are adding stuff to the basket, they're staying engaged and staying on board, they're going to shoot out to more people. And again, obviously that's when you start to get that kind of flywheel effect. And that's why these people can obviously hold an audience. And that's why it's different to obviously creating a 1-minute video to obviously being on live for 1-2 hours, as you can imagine, because it's a different skill set. So if they can do that and they'll get rewarded from TikTok in terms, okay, they're going to send in more audience, you're going to start getting more sales. And again, it continues from then onwards.
Very cool.
And now just to shift this more towards Amazon, we're seeing a lot of Amazon sellers and agencies go towards, TikTok shop. Have you been seeing that as well? Like all of these brands that are super successful on Amazon transition to TikTok shop, and then the TikTok shop kind of, brings a lot more brand awareness and redirects it to Amazon. Like kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I probably speak to more Amazon brands more these days, like again, because again, and it's crazy because some of the brands I speak to do like ridiculous numbers just on Amazon. They're talking like 10 mil, 20. I'm like, how are you doing that just on Amazon? It's crazy. I never thought Amazon, obviously I knew Amazon was big, but I didn't know the numbers were that crazy in terms of that side of things. And I feel like they are trying to get that TikTok shop portion of it as well. Because again, what I find as well, a lot of these brands don't necessarily have like a good .com presence, and their website is basic in terms of that side of things. But at the same time, they know, okay, if we can obviously build a presence on TikTok, it's going to obviously halo effect back and forth between Amazon and TikTok shop. So yeah, I think it's definitely a case where brands are obviously trying to get on the platform, or agencies of Amazon stores are trying to either figure TikTok shop out themselves, or obviously collaborate with TikTok shop agencies to kind of give that full kind of funnel approach from a TikTok shop and Amazon perspective.
Mm-hmm. And for like inventory, we're seeing also a lot of Amazon sellers, link their FBA inventory to TikTok shop using softwares. Um, but I heard recently someone say that Amazon kind of messes with you, or TikTok messes with you in terms of their algorithm, because the inventory is from Amazon. Now, when I heard this, I thought it was a myth. I don't know if that's true or not. So I was just wondering maybe if you know anything about that.
I've not heard anything on that, so maybe it is a myth because, yeah, I mean, if they did go that far, then that would be crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah,
right.
I've not heard anything on that depth. Because again, I'm just thinking, yeah, some of the brands obviously have their warehouses because they've got like Prime stuff set up. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything from my point of view, and I've not heard anything. So, but yeah, now you've told me, I'm going to keep my ears close to the ground.
Yeah, no, I think it's more what I heard was about like Amazon penalizing Amazon sellers.
Oh, that's what it was.
Because they want to keep the inventory for, like on platform
of
for
course.
their sales.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden, like the majority of your sales or a big portion of your sales are getting shifted to those manually fulfilled orders, not necessarily I mean, they know it's TikTok because where else are you getting these manually fulfilled orders from? They'll start penalizing like your listing on Amazon, and the algorithm will, we've seen people who have sales have been affected from that. So that's kind of it's kind of interesting. People were using it as a bonus that they can use their Amazon inventory to fulfill the TikTok shop orders, but they saw it affecting their Amazon business. So now, maybe they'll start sending it to TikTok directly if Amazon is their logistics. So that was
which is interesting, yeah, because I guess either way, then that means they're still going to probably then move their inventory over to a TikTok shop from anyway. So again,
it doesn't make sense. So now the two biggest buzzwords in e-commerce, I would say this year: TikTok shop and AI. So are you leveraging AI for TikTok shop? Like tools anyways, but I mean, more specifically, all these like crazy videos, all these faceless creator pages. Is that something like you work with, or tell us a bit more about, what's going on with that?
Yeah, there's definitely still, I think at the moment, the wave is quieted down on it. Because again, obviously, if you post anything TikTok related or TikTok shop, you do have to say it is AI now, basically. And I feel like there's definitely a rush back in end of Q2, Q3, where AI content was doing really well from a TikTok shop perspective. Recently, it does, if you look at any of the charts and any of the numbers, it doesn't do as well now. So again, I don't know, basically maybe the algorithm shift in terms of it wants more that kind of storytelling from an actual person. I feel like that might be a reason for it, because I don't see, there's still obviously creators doing that, but then when I see a lot of the actual content, it's still as good as it was a few months back, but it doesn't get as much traction. So again, I think it always comes with waves, and let's say the algorithm's always changing, and I feel like people find a way to make it work. But I think as it got easy to start doing AI, it kind of made it harder to get results that make sense. So the people that started doing AI at the beginning obviously reap the rewards from it in terms of the actual in the supplement niche and all that kind of stuff like that. But one part of it as well now, if you're doing an AI piece of content, you still have to physically show the product in the video. So you have to then still edit that you've got the product in hand kind of thing, or just like show your hand of the product. So again, I think it made TikTok definitely clamping down it to a degree. So I feel like it's still there and thereabouts, and there'll probably be another wave where it come through. By the moment, it's definitely calmed down. But obviously, you've seen all the new people, the AI face and stuff that look like real people now and stuff like that. So again, there'll probably be another wave of that coming through shortly.
Yeah, no, that I mean, that also touches up on your point about how it's changing every single day. So that, I guess that's one of the aspects that went from being, such a shiny object, such a great tactic to kind of drive sales on TikTok, to, kind of phasing out for the time being. I guess maybe until the AI gets better, we can see like better, higher quality videos instead of it being like a slideshow and, like nothing, because it's nothing too fancy. But at first it was like impressive. Now we got used to it.
Impressive, But now
it's more just captivating to the eye.
Like that, where
now it's like I can make it for fun in 5 seconds by pressing a button.
Boom. So it's kind of created, so it's too easy. Anything that's easy to kind of do, it gets patched pretty easy, do you know what I mean, kind of thing. So it always seems to be the case.
Nice.
Yeah. And how do you kind of see, like at a macro level, how do you see like TikTok shop kind of affecting other marketplaces like Walmart, Amazon? Obviously, Amazon, TikTok, there's this whole partnership now, but like just, you know, social commerce in general, where do you see TikTok Shop going in the immediate future? Or
Yeah, I think there's definitely what we see as well with a lot of brands now that they're going from social commerce and obviously getting into retail a lot easier, which is interesting. So again, if they blow up on TikTok Shop, then it's just the doors open up, which is just crazy right now. It's quite a good kind of way to kind of get that footfall in terms of traffic and that side of things. So I think that's going to continue to grow. There are still obviously people who are on the fence, and again, there's some Amazon people and people who do the Walmart saying, "Oh, why focus on TikTok Shop when you can obviously be just doing Amazon and obviously reaping the rewards of that, or just being on Walmart?" Whereas it's not that easy. I feel like some people either get that you need that omni-channel presence, or some people kind of just like tunnel vision, say, "Okay, it's just one or the other kind of thing." I feel like there's no correct answer, but as you can imagine, if you can leverage any channel and it brings you in it brings you in revenue, then why would you not, right? That seems to be the kind of way about it, I think personally. But again, you're always going to get that influx of traffic halo effect if you are doing Amazon, if you're doing TikTok shopping, if you are in all them places. And the great thing as well now, you can obviously take that content from TikTok Shop, you can run it on like Meta, you can run it on across other platforms, do you know what I mean, kind of thing. So again, it's a win-win scenario. And I think social commerce is just going to continue to grow. I feel like Meta will eventually sort themselves out and obviously get a better shop kind of infrastructure with affiliates. YouTube affiliates has come along now as well. So I think this is still just the beginning, and I feel like it's still early, especially from a TikTok Shop perspective, for sure.
For sure. And I love what you just said, because it totally resonates with me. Now you have brands that are blowing up on TikTok Shop, and it's opening the doors at like a retail level. We started working for a family business. You know, I started 12 years ago, and it was like a typical wholesale footwear business. So like doing trade shows, opening accounts, opening stores. And I feel like over the last 10 years, things have kind of switched. Before, people used e-commerce as like a side business, like a separate channel. It's like, we're going to focus on, we need to get the retailers to sell. We need to focus on getting the salespeople to sell for us and grow that business. And then we'll allocate a small budget towards e-commerce, and it's a side business. It's cute. It'll grow, and it is what it is. But if you're starting a brand I mean, back then we had a full sales team. We had the relationships with the buyers. Like that's a whole different story. But in today's day and age, if someone is looking to start a brand, you're not going to trade shows and I mean, you might be, but that's not the way to do it. You're spending all this money for, you know, booths and promotional items and trying to get in touch with buyers. But, you know, until there's that social proof, until you blow up on e-commerce, you know, now once you do that, they come running to you. So it's kind of like we're living in a totally different era. And it's exciting, especially, you know, if we're in the space early enough in the space. I mean, TikTok Shop's only available in a handful of countries. Like, this is crazy. Like, we're literally at the beginning, you know. It's like drop shipping in 2016, 2017, you know, like
it feels just like
old
that.
Facebook ad days.
Like, again, exactly. It's not like literally at its infancy. And I feel as well, because again, the conversations are some brands who are just getting started. They're like, okay, let's go all in on TikTok Shop and make that work first, and then kind of scale out. So again, it's kind of flipped on its head now, and especially if you're in obviously like the kind of money Twitter kind of space, in terms of like people that are Meta ads not working, it's this, that kind of thing. So again, more people are starting to veer over to TikTok and seeing, oh, okay, this actually does work from a ROI perspective. Let's kind of put more spend over to that as well. And the kind of like, we've seen it all the time where brands are starting to like take budget from Meta and put it into TikTok Shop. So it's going to continue to grow for sure.
So yeah, I mean, on that note, we're going to start wrapping it up, and we just want you to leave our audience with some value. So, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give to TikTok Shop sellers that are either just getting started, that are in the second stage, you know, they're generating 10 to 50,000 a month, and you know, what's the next step for those guys? And then the third bucket of guys doing, you know, 50 to 250,000 and looking to scale to the next step. So someone starting, someone in the 10 to 50 range, and then the 50 to 250 range. What would you recommend to them, or give advice?
So the first range, I would say, just see it long term, see the bigger picture from it, because it's going to be, you're going to get ups and downs. Don't get me wrong, and at the start it's going to be a lot of downs. So kind of give yourself at least that 90-day window to kind of see it working, and just keep in mind that the first 30 to 45 days is going to be bleak. You might be breaking even if you're lucky, or you might be losing money based on if you're going to be starting to run ads, you're going to be doing outreach, then you've got to then send the samples out, then you've got to wait for creators to post. That first month is going to be just literally just trying to get into the TikTok kind of ecosystem. So again, looking at that bigger picture and knowing that if you stick with it, it will start to take off. So that's kind of anyone from that first kind of stage. Then that kind of next bucket, I would say the main thing is just kind of just being aggressive, reinvesting obviously what you've got coming in, put it into more ads, put it into working with creators at more scale, doing competitions, keeping your network creators kind of motivated. That's going to take you from that 10, 15K to all the way up to 100K from then onwards. And then the third bucket, I kind of think from then onwards, sky is the limit, really. It's just all about just testing it, breaking it. And you kind of got that snowball effect that creators are going to start to work with you. The TikTok reps are going to obviously kind of give you more source. You're going to get more promotion and all that kind of stuff. So once you get to that point, it's just kind of what's the kind of end goal for you in that sense. And it's kind of just blown up from there onwards, really.
For sure. Well, cool. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Ashley, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you helping on.
Been fun. It's been really fun.
Yeah, we should do this more often.
Definitely. No, let me know when we're back on. So if we speak again in 2-3 months' time, we'll completely change.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have a part 2 updates of what changed. Yeah. Honestly, we should do that. TikTok shop updates with Ashley. We get you on every 2 months, every month.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, sounds good, brother.
Cool.
We'll do it.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Amazing.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, guys. Bye.